Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 4 of the Top Cyber Pro podcast. And wow, every season just seems to get better and better, and we keep getting great guests here. And I have a gentleman that's a TEDx speaker. He speaks at multiple events around the world. He's a mentor, he's a professor, he's an educator as well, and a consultant. He wears a lot of hats in his career. This man's got covers a lot of ground in cybersecurity. But without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to him to introduce himself to you.
Thank you so much, Shem, for the kind invitation. Such a pleasure to be in your podcast. Literally, I was checking your YouTube channel. You're doing great work. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing the knowledge with the cybersecurity community. Briefly, my name is Mohammed Hamdi, and I'm a cybersecurity expert. Also, I'm a cybersec mentor. Basically, I'm really, really active in the LinkedIn. I'm putting some content there for the cybersecurity community, sharing some resources. And even like I have a small podcast too. So yeah, and I hope that you're gonna be my guest, Jim. So
Well,
it's gonna be a pleasure.
could you tell us the name of that
And
podcast? Can you share that with us now?
yeah, for sure. I'm gonna share the link later. It's called the Cyber Corner Podcast. Yeah. So yeah, I'm bringing some people to share their experiences in cybersecurity and talking about some topics.
Wonderful. And we're going to have that link to the podcast right there in the description below. So don't have to Google search it. It's going to be that easy. 2 clicks away, you can check out his podcast. Hamdi, there's so many topics I know we could talk about, but I want to first just talk about, what are some of the, you've been an educator, right? You've been a professor, or you still you are a professor. I guess you'll never stop being a professor. But, when it
Mm.
comes to like the education, what is the things that are exciting for you to see in generation after generation, our young folks? From your perspective, what are you seeing in our new, I guess, ranks up into cybersecurity? Is it making you excited about the future? Are you a little concerned? What are your thoughts from being an educator?
Yeah, the students, because basically, I'm working as a cybersecurity engineer, and also I work, as a university instructor in some universities before, and also I'm providing some mentors, for some organizations. So I can see like when I provide some, trainings, and when I'm teaching my students. For my students, I have a really a great relationship with them. So I can say like I can understand the way that they think when they want to just join cybersecurity. And I'm trying just to basically to understand their problems or their issues when they want to join. Because what I found that some of those students they have that kind of motivation. I like that, because always they are motivated to join the cybersecurity things. But sometimes they are really, really taking the decisions so fast, and this is lead to some mistakes, later. So basically, I see that I'm super actually glad that it exists that demand on cybersecurity, as a field to join. But at the same time, I'm trying to provide, and this is my main goal, to provide, I can say, the good guidance for them. Try to let them avoid the mistakes, that maybe I did too, because nobody's perfect. We've did some mistakes in our learning journey. So I'm trying to provide that guidance. I'm trying to keep them motivated too, because you find some students, they are so motivated. And when they find that, like they were a little bit fast, to take the decision, they start to lose their motivation. So my goal is to let that motivation, I can say like stay as it is, try to bring for them some kind of good guidance. This is actually my goal for the students. So in my learning journey too, I deal with the experts. I provided, a lot of trainings for the organizations, maybe also for some governmental organizations. So my goal is, you find in the community of cybersecurity that you find some experts too. I can say like like from the old generation of the cybersecurity. So right now, you deal with someone that he have that vision of the old cybersecurity things. So my goal for them is to bring a modern vision. Right now, we're talking about the AI. We're talking about, machine learning. Even in the solutions itself, even in the products. So my goal is to let them update it. Let them literally, feel what we are living in the modern side of the cybersecurity. So this is what I'm dealing with. For students, I'm trying to provide the good guidance. For the experts, I'm trying to let them, be updated about what's happening in the field.
I like that kind of the conduit between the two worlds, right? I
Yeah,
do find with a lot of young people, and to me, this is the only negative thing I'll say. Young people are quick to want to be interested and want to learn into something, but if they
right.
don't get that, like if you don't do your training, like you don't do gamification of the training, where there's a instant reward or achievements to be made along the way, I see sometimes they'll get kind of they'll reach a point though where if they don't see an immediate reward or benefit, they're like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go try something else. So I do think it, whether it's like an ADHD thing or they get discouraged really quickly if they hit the first few walls. And anyone watching this, I just say you got to keep climbing over those walls because all the greatest thing in life's on the other side of fear. So if it's fear of having imposter syndrome, or fear of just not being good enough, fear of not being able to achieve or learn those things, just keep at it because again, there's several TED Talks that talk about the first 20 hours of learning anything is crucial to anything. And that's one of my favorite TED Talks. So
Yes.
you've been on a TED Talk stage before. You've been on a lot of different stages. So what have been some of the presentations that you've given that you feel that more people should be connected to or know about that you've given and so far up to this point?
Yeah, I mean, like if we go to the process of learning cybersecurity, I guess, I think that for students, they have literally to not being so quick. Sometimes, we find that even like I'm dealing with some interns, when they come, to the company and they want to practice their skills. What I found that, even I was dealing with some interns, there are students, they are so motivated, they be like, okay, today, the topic that I'm working on is pen testing. So here we go. I installed the Kali Linux on my machine. I'm gonna just hack the whole company. So they are really so quick. So I think that the students, they have to take the things step by step. It exists some basic skills that you have to really deal with that, to build a good background in that. And later, the other thing that they have to understand what they want, because the cybersecurity is a huge field. You have a lot of jobs there. You have like a specific job. So you have to understand what you want. Do you want to be like in a SOC? Do you want to be in a red, in a blue? Do you want to be in a pen testing? So what I found that some students don't like this. I want to be just a cybersecurity engineer. But what you are doing as a cybersecurity engineer, this is what it matters. Because and another mistake too, when they ask about certifications, I'd be like, okay, so it exists some certifications, like it's kind of standard, but at the same time, my advice for you is to know what you want, because if you want to specialize in a specific, thing like a SOC, just for SOC, it exists a million certification that you can go for. You got me? So my just, point here, they have to understand themselves and they have to give each step the time that it needs. So yeah.
Oh, the only thing I would add to that is, a lot of folks getting started out. There's a million different ways to come into cybersecurity. You mentioned earlier you tried to give them the guidance so they don't maybe make the mistakes like you've made and other colleagues and professionals made. But a lot of our careers takes like a weird winding path to get to where we are
All
right
right.
now. But I would tell
Right.
anyone there's a million ways to get into cyber, just whether you start watching YouTube videos, you start reading websites, reading news articles, slashdot.org, Wired magazine. There's a lot of different great resources. Reddit. There's so many subreddits on cyber that you could just get yourself involved in. There's local chapters. There's conferences and events that are probably in your area within driving distance that you can attend. LinkedIn. You can start connecting on LinkedIn and just I love LinkedIn
Right.
because as a social network for professionals, you can connect to crypto experts, you can connect to network engineers, firewall, like the top people in the world in this, and just start a conversation or join these different discussion groups. So just taking any
Exactly.
initiative or action. But as far as your first cert as an entry level for anyone, and I'm going to do a plug for IC Square, but a few years ago they started the 1 million certified in cybersecurity. It's a brand new certification. They pledged
Mhm.
1 million free vouchers, and it's not just a test voucher. It's
Yeah.
training, absolutely free training that you get 1 year from when you sign up for it and approve to take the training and to get the voucher and go pass this cert. It's super easy to pass. And it's a
Yeah.
very foundational level cert that I recommend to anyone that wants to get a start, or even if you're in another career. Let's say you're not out of high school, college. Let's say you've been working 10, 15, 20 years in your career and you're looking for a change, or you're just looking just to learn something new. Sign up for that cert. You don't have to be a cyber professional. You don't have to be someone looking to get into cybersecurity to go learn something new that's going to benefit you as an employee, as a professional, in whatever career path you're in. So that's the link to the register for the free voucher and training. It will be in the description below for the certified in cybersecurity. Um,
Yeah.
I want to talk to you, Hamdi, about what motivates you along your career to this point. Has there been people that have mentored you, coached you, or people that you admired that was like, you know what, I want to be just like this person one day, whether they were a thought leader, a manager, or somebody in your career that you just want to, and this is, I guess, is a moment to maybe shine a light on their names, to pay homage to these people, or just to honor them by saying they had an impact on me or they were someone that motivated, inspired me.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I want to just mention a name, I have to mention the name of Jeff Kroom. I'm sure that you've heard about him. He's the CTO of IBM, and he's also creating some content in the channel of IBM Skills on YouTube. So he has an amazing videos. The way that he's explaining the things and make the complicated concepts to so simplified one. Just, and by the way, I'm not an idol, from this point, since I just watched his videos. No, I was like, an old fan. I was reading his articles. I was reading, his, I say like achievements and even like the conferences that he was in. So Jeff Krum, by the way, and, talking, I'm gonna just link the things, talking about the LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, I'm influencing a lot in the LinkedIn. So right now we reached about 100,000 follower. So, I'm doing some, I can say like good job there for bringing some resources to the followers. So, and also in my podcast, when I wanted to launch it, I was thinking about some names, So let's just start with my idol. Why not? I was like thinking, okay, I'm gonna send him a message. When I just sent him a message, I never imagined that he gonna answer so quick. I just like it was, it made my day as a message. So we were talking about what is the topic that we want to talk about. So we decided to talk about the AI for cybersecurity. It was a great episode. So I like his way, how he explains things. He's so technical and will actually like he has a great communication skill. So I remember like when I launched the episode with him, when I launched the episode, I was like, the first X minutes, I was like so excited. Hello, Mr. Jeff, how are you doing? I'm a big fan, like, but he was telling me like, okay, I'm a normal guy, you know. So I was like, so I'm a normal guy, but he's a great guy. So I like Jeff Krum a lot. And yeah, it exists, I can say a lot of amazing thing about him. Um, and back to the days, looking to some local idols, or people that. So I can say like it exists someone who I worked with on my final project because in the bachelor degree we have to finish the bachelor degree with a final project. It's gonna be like a practical project with a company. So he was basically last month. He's right now the former Minister of ICT in Tunisia. So he was my professor, but after he just like became the minister, and then he's a former right now. So in the classroom, he was like a great guy. He was explaining the things with actually like easy way. We worked, the first project that I worked in my life in security world, it was the penetration test. So he introduced me, and he recommended me to the company that later I became cybersecurity engineer in. So in as an intern, and we worked together integrating. So I can see him as an idol. He's a great guy. Yeah, and there is like many guys there in about content, content creation, like David Bamble, the Unix guy. I made just an episode with the Unix guy, or Abed Hamdan. He has, many followers on YouTube. He's providing great content. And just I can remember some names, but it exists a lot, you know.
No worries.
But if I can just like divide them, those guys that I guess like I dealt with them technically, you know, like my professor, and other like about creating content and you know, yeah, I could just divide them that way.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. You know, one of my favorite questions I ask all my guests this is that if we could get into a time machine and go back to the first day that a young Hamdi said, I think I
Oh,
want to do cyber as my career. What is that
oh.
story? Is there a story that you were willing to share with us about your day one?
Yeah, for sure. Believe it or not, you know, I can remember that day. You know, well, actually, like as I told you, like in a bachelor degree, we have to make a final project, and this is, you know, we have basically to send our CVs to the companies to accept us. And yeah, I talked with a lot of my professors. One of them, you know, my professor who is like the former of you know minister. And I told him I want to just work, you know, in a state because you know what? Because my bachelor degree it was about information technology. So doing I can say like a project based on cybersecurity concepts, it's an optional. You can work on web development, you can work on embedded engineering, you know, in IoT. But I because I have a passion for cybersecurity, I was talking to my professor to who is a cybersecurity expert too about that. So he was like, okay, I know that you're passionate about the field, whatever. So I'm gonna recommend your CV. You know, you can just send me a CV, and boom, I got accepted in that company after making an interview. Um, and you know what? Like as a topic, because I was working on a pen testing, penetration testing on that company. So this is like was my beginnings. You know, I made some practical things, you know, virtualized lab, you know, like home lab, but I've never launched it in a tag on a real company, you know? So I remember that I worked on a penetration test. It was a gray box pen testing. So they give me some, you know, information about the infrastructure. It was confidential. And I just realized that my passion, or actually like the highest point of my passion, it was when I launched an attack against that company, and boom, it worked. You know, I get remote access on one of the servers, and well, it was so great feeling. I was like, okay, right now I want to be on offensive side. You know, I want to be like in a red teaming, and you know what, like attack after an attack after an attack. And you know, in each attack, you feel the pleasure. You feel that it worked. But I want to just tell you something because I'm saying that always to my students. It's not gonna work from the first time. You're gonna make any errors. You know, you have just to check, you know, the documentation, whatever. But the first time that I remember that you know, like I want just to go for the cybersecurity field and continue in doing that is when it worked for me, you know, is when I see, you know, how the attack works, how the practical things works. So yeah, and then, you know, I just do my master and the things just
Went from there. You know,
from
you're
there.
based in Tunisia, and what I loved by talking to folks from different regions and different parts of the world is cyber's the same. It's the same whether you're in Los Angeles, New York,
Right.
Paris, Tunisia, Tokyo. It's the same. We're all fighting the same threats. We're all fighting the same director. Now, granted, certain hacktivists and certain APTs are focused on different regions and different industries, but generally speaking, we're all fighting the same battle because there's a lot of cyber criminals. They don't care where the company's based out of. They don't care what country it is. They don't care what the name of the company is, who's the minister, who's the cybersecurity rock stars they
Right.
may hire. They don't care. They're just after money. And
Right.
so, you know, from the perspective that you have of working in the country of Tunisia, you know, how is that government stance on cybersecurity? Because, you know, we hear every day about certain countries taking really forward-leaning steps to making more stronger laws, doing
Yeah.
awareness campaigns across their citizens. Like I could speak to Kuwait. I actually live in Kuwait right now, and Kuwait
Well,
had a massive phishing attempt that happened about a year ago. And then since then, the government's taken a lot of strides into doing more awareness campaigns for their citizens, which is a
exactly.
great thing to see a country do to really
Right.
make their citizens more aware. So, from your perspective of living and working in Tunisia, what do you see from the government as far as, and also from the educational institutions, how they're trying to make people more cyber aware or their positions on cyber?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, okay, there is I can say a false image, people that think that okay, Tunisia is a small country, we are not targeted. So no, it's that's not right. The hackers when they find something that they can hack, they do it. So they don't care about, what is the target. And yeah, in Tunisia we had a lot of attacks. I can say, about the government. Basically here in Tunisia we have it's the same concept in United States like the ANSI, but we have something we call ANCS, or in French we call it Agence Nationale Cybersécurité. It means like the official agency of cybersecurity, which is takes all the decision about the awareness, about the audits, about they are so active also in LinkedIn and the social to aware make like an awareness training for some I can say companies too, and even I think I think like some of them they are free, like a training session free for the companies. And yeah, and I think like they are doing a greater job about that. If you go back to the stats, I think it exists some improvement like year by year. And I can say like law enforcement, I think, yeah. I mean, about the audit. So the audit right now, it exists like another law. It's gonna be launched basically. So which oblige, I can say, or it gonna limit the period of the audit. It means like from period to period, I think it's gonna be each year, because I think in the old one it was kind of longer than that, but each year, most of the companies they're gonna have, an obligation of audit. So yeah, but I think like the agency they are doing a greater job specifically for awareness. They are putting also updated vulnerabilities, each day about the security products. So I hope that it keep that way. And yeah, I mean even us, even the experts, when we got invited to some conferences, and even like for me, I think like in June, I'm gonna have actually like an awareness sessions with a governmental side, a training session about making, the people that working in government, in like basically, in the police sector, so yeah, how they can prevent the cyber attacks, how they can protect themselves and the individual, data protection. So all of that, I mean, you know what? Like it's not only the government responsibilities. Even the experts, they have a role in that. Even the
Yeah.
experts, they have even to take some initiative. Yeah.
I love that. Another topic I want us to discuss about, and you kind of already mentioned it earlier when we talked about the multiple, there's a million ways to get into cyber. I want to hear your perspective of if someone's watching right now and they're like going, okay, I want to get into cyber. What's step one, two, three? From your perspective, what would be that guidance? And I know we said a lot of guidance already. So if people have been taking their notes, we already gave a lot of information on how to just start getting information. But let's hear from you, Hamdi. If you had to say step one, step two, and step three.
Right, right. So, look, each year, I have a lot of messages on my inbox about that topic. Specifically from the students in the final year of the high school, because in the final year of the high school, you prepare yourself to go to the college, and then you're gonna make your decision what you're gonna study there.
Mhm.
So I got some messages from the final year of a high school students. They're gonna be like, I want to just study cybersecurity. So I try to explain to them that it doesn't exist, a bachelor for cybersecurity, because the first 3 years you have to build your skills. You have to build a good background, because cybersecurity later it's an implementation of that knowledge, right? And even like after you're gonna study cybersecurity, we are always gonna be a learner. Things like, you have to stay updated, and yeah, and this is how we have to explain it. So I'm telling them, okay, the first step is to go for an IT field. And then, look, in university, your instructor, he's or she's not going to be perfect. He's not going to give you everything. And I think, this is one of the points that I want to work on, that the way we teach cybersecurity, because some, like instructors, they are teaching it with a classical way. This is a Trojan, this is a virus, so it's boring, and they make them like they want to do something else. So I'm just telling them, you have to do like an individual job. You have just to make an effort. And I was doing that too. When I was in college, I'm not getting enough of cybersecurity and the way they are teaching to me. So I want just to research, being in some series, being in some webinars, you know? But the first step is try to build a good background. Basically, in a three things, network, essential. You must be good in a network. Like operation system. And when I'm talking about the operation system, it's not only about Kali because, always they're gonna be like, yeah, Kali. No, it's not about Kali. It's about Linux and also about Windows servers. One day you're gonna deal with that, but be good in operation system. Also, I'm telling them, don't look to the things in Hollywood way. You're not gonna be like Mr. Robot, system, access granted, and you're gonna make mistakes about the arguments in the command. So accept that you're gonna make a lot of mistakes and be patient, because you're gonna do a lot of them. And then, scripting, like one day when you wanna just download a tool from a GitHub or whatever, it's always with a Python. So go with the Python and then go for some scripting, languages, PowerShell, Bash. So those 3 points, I'm not gonna ask you to be an expert on these 3 points, just I want you to be comfortable with. You got me? So with a good level. And I mean, like, even if you feel that the college system is a kind of classical and boring, you have to make some individual work, at home when you feel like comfortable to do that. Because what I like about cybersecurity that the knowledge is everywhere. Like, you know what? Like, I found it really, really a great resources and free trainings that I never imagined that I'm gonna just find them and sharing them in LinkedIn, and people they are so happy with that. So you can study it by yourself. It's a good, like I can say under the guidance of your instructors in university, but always your efforts, what it gonna count, by the end. So, building a background, building good knowledge on those three things. If you're not good, believe me, if you're not good in those three things, later you have to back to that, and then you're gonna feel like it's complicated. So you're gonna waste a lot of time. Later, we gonna go. Okay, so people ask me about a period. To be honest, it doesn't exist a specific period because it depends, someone to another. But I'm gonna recommend like 1 year, and like I said, like 1 year, 2 year it's gonna be enough to discover those kind of things, especially if you're studying in IT. So you're gonna pass some exams on that. So I think it's gonna be enough. And then you have to join the security world. And this is, to be honest, the most important step. Why? Because we want to let the student discover what he wants in a cybersecurity. So the question, and this is, a lot of students come to me. So how we can know? Like I don't know, like it exists a lot of things. So what is the methodology? Is it like about a roadmap? Is it no? The goal is to be literally, I can say you have some discipline, and it's like a deal between you and yourself. Okay, you're gonna be like it's a 1 year. So what I'm gonna do in that 1 year, I'm gonna try to taste each field. Try to taste it. How to taste it? So basically, you have first of all to see or to check the market. Is it on a demand? What about the future of that field? I'm talking about the field, inside cybersecurity because it exists, some right now, field when maybe I don't know, like maybe the AI gonna make them easier one, and we have like a new field, last year as we're talking about the deep SecOps, and all of that. So you have to check the field on the market. Is it in a demand? Whatever. And then you have to check the profile, what you need, to be qualified for that position. So let's say I want to be a pen tester. So I'm gonna check like, the market about pen testing, and the opportunities. I'm gonna later try to understand what is the requirement, what I have to learn, and then I have to practice. I have to taste it. So practicing in each actually field of cybersecurity, I mean, you can do that. Believe me, everything is just there on the internet. About pen testing, I think like it's the most open one about the resources. You can find easily the resources to learn pen testing, from the home labs to the platforms to the vertical web app that you can test on. So, and why I suggest to start with the pen testing, because it's an offensive side. And you know what? Like when you're gonna launch the attack, you're gonna understand the offensive concept. You know, look, I like, when I make the podcast episode with Dr. Jeff Crum, he told me something that the attacker can be, or can make mistakes, whatever he wants, and, he can do a lot of mistakes. But about, someone who is working in a defensive side, he must be all is right, no mistakes there. So as a student, starting with the pen testing, you can make a lot of mistakes. You got me? So you can try the things, you can see the things practically. And starting with the pen testing, you can understand the offensive concepts before, going to the blue team or the defensive concepts. The offensive one, it's gonna make you learn how to make it and how to defend yourself against it. So here I can say like you're gonna kind of, save some time. So, pen testing, try to go to some labs, CDFs. It's good to connect. It's good even. Some people, when I'm talking about CDF, it's not only about winning the award. It's totally fine, Like it's a good point that you tried, you practice, and you met also some people that they share the same passion, because it's you know what that's something which is so neglected that we are not talking about in cybersecurity is networking. It's so important thing.
Mm.
So yeah, you have to network, you have to meet some people in that. And absolutely, if you feel comfortable right now in a pen testing with a practical side, you can make it a little bit bigger challenge. Going for back bounty, you know? So going for back bounty is really, really a cool thing because you're gonna right now put the knowledge that you gathered in a really, kind of real case. And this is how you taste pen testing, for example, let's say in 6 months, maybe. If you want to just make it like longer, it's okay. But the most important that later you're gonna ask yourself, if that is sweet for me, am I feeling good in that? So at least you tasted. You didn't take the decision like that. I want to be pen tester, but you put yourself in that place. And you have to do the same specific period. It's a deal between you and yourself in another one, like SOC, for example. At least try to select the top three field in cybersecurity that you're interested about. Only three. And try to ask yourself, am I, in that period when I just tried the pen testing, did I feel okay with that? Did I feel that it's a boring thing? Did I feel that I can continue in that? So that way, when you're gonna take your decision, it's gonna be based on a fact. It's
Mm.
gonna be based on something that you did. And later, this is another mistake. When you take your decision, please don't listen to the people a lot. Sometimes, we take a decision and it's okay for us, but when my friend came to me and be like, hey, I learned about something new. It's a new field. It's a new technology, whatever. You're gonna throw all of that away and you go to your friend's, vision, and then you're gonna waste some time. So if you inside you feel okay with that, you feel that I can just make a big thing, with the decision that I just did, go for it. It doesn't mean like to be isolated and you don't listen to the people. No, it's not the point. But it's just like be confident that you're taking the right steps. Okay? And later, when you're gonna select absolutely the field that you want to continue on, you have to look for some certifications and absolutely have to look for some internship opportunities if you're students or, a practical projects and continuous learning. Whatever the field that you're going to select, continuous learning. If you want to go for the SOC, CMs based on AI, whatever. If you want to go to the pen testing, it's another field. So you can just learn a new techniques, new vulnerabilities, a new attack, whatever. So be sure that the learning journey, it will never end. You're always going to be a learner. So yeah,
Wonderful.
this is
Hamdi provided a lot of information there. And so what I want to do is I want to kind of surmise it and just augment what I would insert into what he's given. He's given a lot of great information and guidance there. First step in everything he said, you got to get connected. And if you do not have a LinkedIn account right now, just pause
Let's
this
talk about it.
video, pull up a new tab, create and register you a profile on LinkedIn right now. Because LinkedIn gets you access to groups, to the community,
Literally.
to other professionals that are in industry. And as he said before, you can just start having conversations, chats with people, in
Yeah,
different parts of the world that are experts in any different field, right? There are
right.
websites and there's platforms, there's tools. He's mentioned Kali Linux 101. So guess what? The link is in the description below. But there's another tool set I would highly encourage everyone. The offensive tool set from Kali Linux, the most powerful on the planet. But there's another tool set for digital forensics that's absolutely free, CSI Linux. And the link will be down below because that's another area that I implore anyone to just dip your toes in the water a little bit onto some forensics and how to build cases and do like OSINT operations and other type of searches, more powerful searches for information and to build cases. That CSI Linux is great. So you got Kali Linux, which you got to think of the Batman tool belt, but another tool in this tool belt is CSI Linux will be in the description below. But LinkedIn, learn these tools. Just learn everything you can, and then with LinkedIn, do a job search for your town, your city, your state, your country, and look at what is in demand, and start looking at those job titles, which you can also see the salaries. Because let's be honest here, we also want to do something we're passionate about, but us be compensated well for our time that we're investing in. So you can start seeing what the salaries are in your area, what the positions, what's in demand. And then once you see that, you can start noting, okay, these are the common certs. I see these 3, 4, 5 certs over and over and over. That's got to be in my roadmap. How do those certs stack? And that's another good question. So in the description below, Paul Jeremy puts out a great certification roadmap where you can look for these certs. They're linked directly to that provider's website that gives you all the information on the certs. And you can see how you can chart your roadmap going towards what your research has done for your area. Now, of course, if you're a person that can just pack your life in a suitcase and move anywhere in the world, then your search just opens up worldwide. Nothing really changes other than looking where you want to live, what's in demand, what's the requirements, and in the next 1, 2, 3 years, become those requirements. Because at the end of the day, no matter what certs I tell you or Hamdi tells you, it's going to be about what is in demand where you want to live, and that's going to pay you the salary you want. That's your roadmap. I could tell you about a roadmap. He could tell you about roadmaps, but really the roadmap is what is tailored for you and where you want to live, what you want to make, and the kind of work that you want to involve yourself in. What are you going to dedicate your time and money into? And the next thing I'm going to say is before you spend a single dollar on any training program, period, do the YouTube University. It's free. Do Hack the Box. Do Try Hack Me. Do Linux. Linux Foundation has a lot of certifications for free. The Attack IQ Academy has stuff on red teaming and the MITRE ATT&CK framework, all for free. Do all of the free training courses first. And once you've exhausted all of the free, then say, go to a subreddit, go to people that you've networked on LinkedIn and say, or even if you like with me or Hamdi on LinkedIn, hey, I've done all this free training. What's next? And you'll get a bunch of different opinions of what's next. But the bottom line is cybersecurity has millions of ways to come in. But what I'm advocating to anyone is start your LinkedIn today. Connect, network, build your network with professionals and people, hiring managers and companies around the world, and then start testing what you like. Like, Baskin Robbins, you go into 37 flavors, try all the different flavors till you say, you know what, I really like forensics. I really like pen testing. But guess what the beauty is? A lot of folks go, well, what if I put all this time and 1, 2 years later, I don't want to be a pen tester? Well, guess what? Those skills translate over to almost anywhere else in cyber. You go from a
Right.
pen tester, you could become an
Okay.
auditor, systems network auditor. And then if you don't like auditing, maybe you want to go into compliance, GRC, governance risk compliance. And maybe you say, oh, I don't want to do that. You could go into software engineering, DevSecOps. There's somewhere where those skills translate and help bring new perspectives into any team or company you would go work for. So don't get
Right.
disheartened like, oh, I've already done 6 months into this training. I feel like I wasted my time. You didn't waste your time. There's never any education or learning that you do is never a waste of time. It's going to help you into the next thing, into the next thing. So think about it as when I mentioned earlier, our career sometimes does this little zigzag.
Right.
Sometimes we go up, sometimes we take a step down. That's how everyone's career goes. I wasn't always a level 99 cyber professional. I had to start at zero. And one time I was at zero, I had to work up to level 5. Sometimes I went back to level 3. You do this throughout your career. So don't get disheartened. But I love to be curious, be a sponge, learn as much as you can.
Yeah.
Hamdi, I know we could talk a lot because you wear so many hats in your career, and we can talk a lot about different things. But I do want to jump ahead to what I call the speed round, where I kind of just take a break of the cyber technical talk for a moment. And this is just purely questions for levity. There's no
Yeah.
right or wrong answer. And if you humor me, I'd like to just ask you some questions for fun.
For sure. For sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead.
All right. So this one is going to split the room. Okay. So don't be afraid to answer. Okay. Star
It's okay.
Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Why? Who's your favorite character?
Actually, like this is linked to my country because the first part of the Star Wars, it was filmed in Tunisia in the south, and many people they don't know about it.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, and by the way, it's like even right now, this side is open for tourism,
Yes.
and people taking some pics there. So,
Yeah, it was Luke
yeah, yeah.
Skywalker's home. Have you been to that site?
Sorry again.
Have you been to that site?
Actually, like, yeah, but it was in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in that side. I took some pics. Yeah, it was like you're on the other planet because it was in the desert. You
Yeah.
got me. So yeah, it was a good pics.
Oh, wonderful. I love that you've been there. Um,
Thank
Cake
you.
or pie?
I'm gonna go for a cake, even like I'm in diet, but I'm gonna go for cake.
Yes, yes. What kind of
Yeah.
cake?
Chocolate one. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Uh, it's a really complicated question. I don't know. Like, yeah, maybe it can be a sandwich because, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Because in Tunisia here, dog, yeah, it can be a sandwich. It can be not. So, yeah, but most of the time it's a sandwich.
Okay. What has been the most favorite book of all time that you've read, and what was the last book you read?
Uh, well, to be honest, I don't have like the top book to be honest,
Mhm.
but for the last book because I read a lot of books that related to security, and so I'm reading some 20 book, and I just finished a book called The Impact of AI on Cybersecurity by Ray Davis. He's so great, and I recommend it a lot, and even like it exists on free copy.
If you can give me a link to that, and if there's a website that has a free copy, we'll put it in the
Yeah, yeah, for
description as
sure.
well. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the PDF file. Yeah, it's
Okay.
so good one.
So Hamdi, again, we could talk for so long and long, and I want to respect your time. I do like to give all
Thank
my
you.
guests the opportunity to shine a light on any personal projects of yours, any nonprofits you either work for, support, donate your time or money to, anything that you want to shine a light on that's doing good in the world. It doesn't have to be IT cyber related, but anything that you're working on personally, again, nonprofit charities, volunteer work, I give you an
Yeah,
opportunity to
yeah.
shine a light.
Yeah, for sure. I've been, doing a volunteer work for a long time. Started from the conferences with some clubs, with some universities. Basically, each month, I got invited for students to inspire some students, about cybersecurity, and even like for international organization, I'm doing that for no-profit things. By the way, again, back to the LinkedIn. LinkedIn, it bring me a great opportunity, and last year. I provided a conference, a webinar that for InfraGuard, which is a partnership between the FBI and USA businesses. So yeah, I mean, like I'm doing my best, for providing those kind of conferences for no-profit organizations, and also I'm working on right now creating content more. I'm actually like had a good reach on the LinkedIn. People they know me a lot, from my LinkedIn. I'm going also through YouTube, some podcasts too, some experts. Sometimes I'm talking about some topics related to cybersecurity, purely technical one. Sometimes about the career things, and even like I'm gonna have an episode about the imposter syndrome because it's like so trendy topic. So gonna go for that. Trying to creating some content, inspire people, about stay confident in going, to the cybersecurity field. And yeah, the most important for me is let the people passionate about the field and never if they took the decision to go for it, never gonna take a step back.
Wonderful. And Hamdi, thank you for doing all that work you do. What a lot of folks don't understand is that when you're, an cybersecurity expert, you could just do your job and be done. You go home, you turn it all off. But for most of us experts out there, we can't turn it off. We're always learning, we're always studying, we're always watching the news feeds, we're investigating things, we're
Exactly.
looking at incidents and data breach reports. We're plugged in 24/7. And then to turn around and offer, like you said earlier, there was a professor, a mentor for you earlier that explained things. Even the IBM CEO was able to explain complex things in really simple manner to where you could understand it.
Yeah.
And taking the information that you're learning and you're ingesting and discovering and then sharing it with others, whether it's on your LinkedIn, your YouTube, your podcast, that takes time. And so the show the really caliber of the gentleman we have here and the level of expert he is, that not only is he constantly learning as a perpetual student and always keeping himself educated about everything in technology, he's sharing that with the world. And it takes a special person to do it because we're not doing it for money. We're doing it purely for the love of educating and sharing knowledge because knowledge is empowering. So, last thing I like to do, Hamdi, is I like to give all my guests the final word. So the floor is yours to say whatever you like to say to anyone watching.
Uh, Again, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity. Literally, I'm so honored to be in this podcast. I was checking your profile. You're such an inspiration too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And literally, I enjoyed this conversation. Again, guys, enjoy the journey. It's about the journey. Do your best about it. Never blame yourself about anything. And I wish a lot of success for the audience who is listening for us and for the people that are fighting to make their dreams true. Thank you
Well,
so
thank you
much.
so much for being a guest, Hamdi, and thank you for joining us for the Top
Thank
Cyber
you
Pro
so much.
podcast.
Thank you so much, Jam.